What's up, lovers? Hello and welcome to episode number 289 of the VK Bros, recording on Saturday, the 14th of February 2026, also known as Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers out there, and also happy birthday to longtime friend of the show, Lisa. Shout out to you. I hope you are having a silly goose birthday with your boy. What's going on now?
I texted her this morning and said, what did I said something, because we obviously don't say nice things to each other.
No, because that's what real friendship's about.
I think I called her an old bag of dust.
No, it's an old dried up bag of dust. Yeah, beautiful. I like it. Yeah, so shout out to you, Lisa. Have a good birthday.
So there's a story I want to start with this morning. Remember when we were talking about Donald J. Trump not liking petty tyrannies?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain just quickly what a petty tyranny is for the viewers?
Yeah, a petty tyranny is essentially how the Australian government runs our society. It is rules for the sake of having rules. It is taking away extremely minor rights just for the sake of taking away extremely minor rights.
So Trump's just fixed another one, and I love this. So his first one, for the people that don't remember, was the paper straws.
Yeah.
He got rid of the paper straws. He's like, people don't like it. People tell me they don't like it. He doesn't drink out of straws, so he doesn't even know. But people told him, and he was like, I don't like it, so let's just bring it back. And even like my most green friends hate paper straws. I actually never really minded them. I never really had a problem with them
because your drinks don't last long enough for the straw to degrade.
Yeah, but people, and some people like chew theirs, which I find is disgusting and filthy. But I don't do that. So anyway, this one is close to my heart, and I thank Donald J. Trump for doing this.
I thought you were about to say our Lord and Savior before you led into that, but that would be blasphemous. So continue.
Which is getting rid of auto stop-start in cars.
Really? I didn't see this.
So this has just come through. Literally, the White House has just done an AI slot video 3 hours ago that we'll play.
Does it have any racist undertones?
Yes. No. Well, let's watch it. We'll watch it first.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's only really short, but
cool.
So for audio listeners, it basically showed essentially two fat lesbians in a Prius
with blue hair. Yep.
Blue hair that was sweating bullets because their car is parked at the lights and the auto stop start has turned it off. They're looking at the turn off button, but they're not hitting it. And then next to them, this beautiful girl who's drinking a Coke in a red sports car, and she's nice and cool because her car engine is still running at the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes off into the distance. That's essentially the ad. Now, why is this important? So,
I loved the tagline at the top of that post from the White House.
Keep it cool while making America hot again.
Yeah.
It's officially dead. So let me give you a bit of history. This came out, I think, 2013. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in America, brought in under Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was that when your car is stopped, you should turn the engine off to save on emissions.
Yeah.
Okay? Which kind of made sense. I remember being a boy in the 90s in Switzerland, in small towns, it was customary to do that. You would pull up to the lights and you'd turn your car off to keep it quiet and whatever. So it kind of made sense to me that this system would come in. So obviously I was in the car trade that whole time. So I was primarily in new cars that time. So when they introduced it, I was like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense. And what they had said was that you were going to save 10% on your fuel bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that has not only that detail been wrong, there's almost no evidence to show that there's any benefit whatsoever on fuel savings. There's an argument that the emissions are worse because to start a car, you actually have to you actually get a couple of pumps of fuel into the combustion chamber before it even starts. Therefore, it's
Yeah.
not burnt, and you're just spitting out. Like the most inefficient time is when you start your car.
Yeah, correct.
But even more to that, one of the reasons why us car people hate them is because, for a start, every time you pull up to the lights and it turns it off, there's now a slight delay between when the car is in a stationary position to turning the engine back on so you can take away from the lights.
Mm-hmm.
So you've effectively slowed everyone down,
Yep.
which I hate. In Australia, in a hot country, most cars turn the air conditioning off.
Yeah, because it can't run the air conditioner.
So the fan still runs, but the air conditioning compressor doesn't run.
So it just blows hot air at you while you're at the lights.
So it just blows hot air, okay?
Making
so
a red light seem like it lasts even longer.
Yeah. And also, the stress that it puts on the starter motor, the alternator, where I've had times where the auto stop start would kick in and then the car doesn't come back on again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you're in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
But even just from an annoyance factor, it was a system that you'd turn off every single time you got in the car.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to actually write an article in the future about all of these things. So the fact that Trump's done this one is a great start. There's so many more to go. The most egregious one, and anyone that follows me on Instagram, and any viewers that want to follow me, I'm Alex on Cannell on Instagram. Send me an invite. It's private, but send me an invite and you come in. I'll put a lot of interesting articles on there. But the craziest one is like these media screens. So you turn your car on, the media screen pops up with a disclaimer saying, "Don't look at this media screen because it's dangerous." Yeah. Essentially, that's what it says.
So you have to hit OK every single time.
You have to push OK.
Yep.
Now, no one needs to look at the screen at all. In normal operating time, usually your car is set up the way that you want it. There's no need to look at the screen. Mm-hmm. You jump in, your phone connects automatically. It starts playing your podcast. It starts playing the BK Bros podcast where it left off. And you carry on with life. Your air conditioning is where you had it set before. There's no need to look at it. But now you have to look at it. Mm-hmm. Now, why? Because some stupid fucking rule says, oh, you need to tell people not to look at it because they might look at it and crash the car.
Yeah.
Which is just the most pea-brained idea ever.
And it's just a legal protection thing, isn't it? It is just literally, so if someone crashes and then they want to blame the manufacturer, they're looking at the screen because something came up on the screen, the manufacturer wants to wipe their hands and go, no, we put a warning up, you shouldn't be looking at it.
Completely retarded.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the real world, and actually a shout out to Jack, so someone that I've had many a stoush with about some of the things that we speak about on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that he leans far more left than what I do. Actually asked me this morning because he saw my post about it. He's like, why is that significant? And I explained, he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He drives an old car. He doesn't know how good he's got it being in an old car.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh yeah, that sounds like it sucks, right? And it does suck, especially when you take in consideration that it's essentially that feature has doubled the price of batteries.
Yeah.
So you need a battery with twice the cranking amps because it's got auto stop start, because it's stop start all the time.
Plus, not even just the battery, the feature itself is an additional cost in the production of the vehicle.
Yeah, and I would say, look, sometimes they fail, but we used to get a solid 3 to 5 years out of a car battery, mm-hmm. and a car battery was about $300. Now you're getting up to 3 years on a battery, and a battery's $600 to $1,000.
Yeah.
So if you're driving a Euro car that's diesel and it's auto stop start, you're $1,000 for a battery.
Yeah. For something that is not giving you the benefit that they spruiked it would give you at the beginning.
No, it's just more stuff. So I'm so stoked that he's looking at this stuff. I'm so stoked that and I'm sure that manufacturers don't want to be doing it either because it's increased warranty work. Everyone hates it. It's surplus to, it doesn't even do what it says on the ticket, right? Yeah. It doesn't even achieve what it says on the ticket. So I'm hoping that traffic speeds up. I'm hoping that once these cars start to flash out, it's going to take obviously 10 years mm-hmm. to get these shit boxes replaced. I just hope that Australia doesn't go, oh no, we want to have it because we're bucking the trend. We're not listening to Donald Trump.
This is why we need to vote One Nation in.
Totally. So thank you thank you, Donald Trump. It's actually, for someone that lives and breathes cars, it is my main. It's been my whole thing for 2 years now. Has been in cars, and auto stop start has been one of the worst features. Can I say the latest feature that's been brought out that is the new worst, and I'm lucky that I get to sort of avoid driving these things, which has only been mandated on brands making new cars now, is a face sensor, a camera that looks at your face to make sure that you're looking
at the road. Yeah, we've discussed this on the show before.
Yeah, and it doesn't work if you've got sunglasses on, doesn't work if you're Chinese.
Yeah, they are racist.
Yeah, but they have mandated that. So anyway, I'm really, really happy with that.
Yeah, removing one petty tyranny at a time. We are going to go through a bunch of stories on today's show. So there's a few more things out of the Epstein files that we want to cover. There is a big report that just dropped out of, it's actually out of Queensland, but about Victoria in regards to corruption via the CFMEU in ties to the Labor government. Can we just start off, though? I want to briefly discuss the leadership spill of the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Just briefly. Now, for those of you who don't know, many of you probably already do, Sussan Ley has been ousted and has been replaced by Angus Taylor. Now, the Liberals are essentially politically non-relevant at the moment. So we're not actually going to talk about, what does this mean for the future of the Liberal Party? Because, hey presto, who cares? They are irrelevant now. But there is a tinfoil hat conspiratorial element to this that I do want to discuss, because long-time listeners of the show would remember so she's only been in the job for 9 months, Sussan Ley. So she only had that job for 9 months. And way back when she first took it, and especially just afterwards, Alex and I had been saying the entire time, there is absolutely no way that Sussan Ley leads the Liberal Party into the next federal election. Yeah. She was far too weak a leader. All of her policies essentially aligned with the Labor Party. That's why everyone was calling them Labor Light. So there was no way that she was going to be leading them into the next election. Now, we had said the plan was always going to be drop her out and put Andrew Hastie in, because we were tracking on the show how Hastie, for some reason, was putting up all of these essentially right-wing talking point Instagram reels, which was in direct contravention of the Liberal Party's policies. And don't forget, it was Hastie who was the shadow immigration minister who stepped down, claiming that Sussan Ley wouldn't allow him to actually do that job and make changes to their immigration policy. So they were essentially positioning Hastie as he was the guy who was going to win votes back from One Nation before the next election. So we always said they were going to drop Sussan Ley, they were going to put in Andrew Hastie. And we were basically saying that the reason why they were going to drop her, the whole reason they gave her the job in the first place, was to help Labor get through the hate speech laws. Job done. But we've just realised what the carrot was and how they actually facilitated this deal in the first place. Can you bring up the article about her retirement package? So many of you would know that politicians in this country have had essentially a golden handshake retirement package for a long time. So this article here from news.com dropped yesterday. So ousted Ley to receive hefty pension. I'll go through. But I'll need you to move it, but that's okay. So ousted Ley to receive hefty pension in silver lining. So, all right, Alex is back now. Yep. So can you just scroll it down a little bit so we can look at some of these numbers? Scroll down a little further. Here we go. So don't forget all the stuff at the top here. But here we go. So losing her job has meant she has lost her $442,000 salary, which was made up of a base salary of $240,000 plus an 85% loading, according to 2025 decision by the Independent Remuneration Tribunal. But her decision to retire from politics altogether has guaranteed her an annual income higher than the salary she would get if she were to stay on as a backbencher. So here's the key thing. I'm not going to read through all of this, but here's the key thing that you need to know. In 2004, they made changes because the public was going off about what they used to call the defined benefit pension scheme for politicians. Essentially, it meant these politicians were getting 40% of the last salary they received in public office for life after retiring from politics. So in 2004, they changed those rules. So any politician elected into Parliament after 2004 no longer is on that defined benefit scheme. Sussan Ley was one of the last politicians in the Liberal Party who was still on that scheme, because she was elected first in 2001. So this is the deal. She was given the top job. She's only been in it for 9 months. But because of that, she now will receive 40% of that $460,000 salary for the rest of her life. That's her golden handshake agreement. Give you the top job, get yourself essentially paid for the rest of your life, and now she just gets to ride off into the sunset. But she did her job, which was helping Labor get through those hate speech laws.
And she's going to get paid more in retirement than if she took a backbench seat.
And actually served her constituents.
So if she worked, she'd get paid less.
Yep.
I'm calling this. So we said that this is an issue of the glass waterfall.
Yep.
Which is put a woman in place when you know you can't win. She takes the brunt, gets spat out the side. This one is a glass geyser because she gets paid so much more. It was the perfect play.
Absolutely.
To now they would have said to her, we're gonna hang this all on you, bro. Like everything you're gonna get absolutely shit canned. But good news is you get paid $280,000 a year for the rest of your life. Just leave and don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah, and look how much pressure she put on the Nationals for going against those laws. Like, it was literally her entire job. Her entire job was to get these laws through. And we covered on the show before, these laws, many people believe, were drafted well before Bondi happened. They were sitting on someone's desk, drafted by a lobbyist group, who will remain unnamed, but pre-drafted, just waiting for a tragedy to happen to have the justification to do it. The Bondi happens. She was the one who called to bring Parliament back early, remember? Don't forget that.
And that's like, no, we don't think this is necessary. Like, what are you doing?
And again, you have to consider the fact that we have got a royal commission into Bondi happening, which is supposed to tell us all what caused it, what could have been done to prevent it, etc., etc. But no, she had to bring it back early, and they had to jam through these laws before the royal commission's even finished, because she knew that was her job, and the paycheck was coming. So she wanted to get it all done and dusted so she can skedaddle off into the sunset on $250,000 a year for the rest of her life. So, look, this is how the Uniparty works, guys.
It was interesting because my one of my real lefty mates posted talking about Angus Taylor, and I don't know the ins and outs of the deal, but basically he's Angus Taylor has done some deal where his company has just received like essentially an $80 million government contract or something.
Okay, I haven't seen that either, but I'm unsurprised.
Yeah, I didn't even look at it, but I was like, yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it totally sounds like something.
Yep.
We don't hate politics enough.
Because Taylor was never supposed to be the guy. It is only because Andrew Hastie committed political suicide on social media in the last few weeks that Taylor has been given the gig. And I wouldn't have been surprised at all if these guys were all in the party room together going, okay, here's the plan moving forward. And maybe Angus Taylor wanted the leadership. And they were like, well, no, mate, because the plan is Hastie. We've got Hastie out there posting right-wing talking points. He's going to be the one who'll bring these voters back from One Nation who've deserted us. So Sussan Ley gets the golden handshake deal. Hastie will get the leadership of the party, but we'll give you this sweetheart government contract with your company. That'll keep you happy, so you get paid too. Because all these pigs have their little snouts in the trough.
Just a bit of inside baseball, but like we have another group chat, and one of the guys who had brought up this and sent it through is like, "Oh, you guys, like, how do you guys feel about this?" And we're like, "We don't."
Yeah,
you know?
who cares?
The Liberal Party is irrelevant.
Yeah,
it's Do you want to talk about the CFMEU?
Yeah, can you go to that one next? So that's another story that's dropped this week. And look, we've, again, covered on the show a million times about how the CFMEU is deeply intertwined with the Labor Party. Can you hold the line a moment, Alex? I'm going to go and address my children. And we're back. Apologies for that, guys. Shout out to the parents out there. You know exactly what we have to do sometimes. So, back to the CFMEU story. So we've covered for many, many, many months and years how the CFMEU is directly tied to the Labor Party. there is an agreement there. They're even outside the campaign financing laws, so they can funnel essentially as much money as they want to the Labor Party, not in direct political donations, but in services rendered, volunteering, etc., etc., etc. There's all these different ways. Like, for example, the CFMEU is subject to the caps in political donations when it comes to giving cash. But there was nothing saying that the CFMEU can't pay for Labor's political advertising out of their own pocket to whatever dollar value they want, and they've already previously shown that they've spent millions of dollars previous to previous elections.
I just want to explain why that's so egregious, and why I care very little about the corruption that's been reported lately.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's nothing compared to essentially money laundering from the Australian taxpayer that goes to governments, where governments will spend infinite amount of money on a project. So let's say a project should cost $10 billion. They know full well they're going to spend $30 billion.
Yep.
But the contract is going to go to a union, a CFMEU union company, because that money gets to be funneled back into Labor government.
Yeah.
So it's your money that's being used to, and everyone likes building infrastructure. Let's build infrastructure. Building infrastructure is great. But we're paying 3x, 4x, 10x the money. I mean, I can see it. From my balcony out here, there are 3 cranes. I'm pretty sure that those cranes are 10 grand a day. Yep. There's been 3 of them there for probably 6 months, and they basically do no work.
Yeah.
But they're just sitting there collecting our money. That's a government worksite. And to me, that's more important to know that Labor is bolstering themselves and their political party using our money under the guise of we'll build infrastructure.
It's exactly the same as the Somali fraud in Minnesota. Like, it's what we said about Tim Walz. It's how to buy votes with stolen money. That's what all this play comes down to. So I want to play this clip. It's a news story. Shout out to 7 News because they actually covered something. Can you just play the story and we'll go from there?
Good evening. A bombshell inquiry has uncovered damning evidence of industrial-scale corruption on Melbourne's big build projects. The CFMEU is accused of funnelling more than $15 billion from Victorian taxpayers straight into the pockets of criminals, all while the state government allegedly turned a blind eye.
Bribery, drugs and bikies on the big build, and a state government accused of looking the other way.
This is the worst instance of corruption this state has ever seen.
The man
Sorry, is that guy, is he standing on the shoulders of another short man?
I think guy's a stretch.
Ever seen.
The man responsible for the bombshell corruption report has revealed at least 15 billion taxpayer dollars went straight to organised crime.
Well, it could be 30 billion, not 15 billion. The people who were benefiting from this were criminals.
Paragraphs about that eye-watering figure and the state government's indifference were deleted days before today's CFMEU inquiry. An official appointed by the Albanese government ordered to wipe it.
The probe's chief investigator said, "I did not suggest the changes. I was directed to make the changes."
And I was told it was outside the terms of reference.
The remaining pages expose a laundry list of disturbing claims. Strippers hired to perform for workers on taxpayer-funded projects. Work sites turned into drug distribution centres by bikie gangs. Mick Gatto pocketing tens of millions of dollars from CFMEU dealings. The union blatantly employing crime gangsters on 6-figure salaries.
A man who had killed somebody was released from jail and almost immediately appointed a health and safety representative at the Victorian branch of the CFMEU.
To be fair, he knows more about health and safety.
Yeah.
You've seen both sides.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect storm. All of a sudden, there was too much government money and too many really big jobs. The investigation also revealed women were forced to perform sexual favours for jobs in a program designed to provide jobs for women.
If somebody had stomped on this, they could have stopped it.
Despite what could be the most damaging evidence against the government since it took power 12 years ago, the Premier went to ground today. Her office says she needed time to review the report.
Only leads you to ask, Is she simply not wanting to incriminate herself?
She left the talking to her Attorney General.
So not only is it impossible for me to comment on the allegations and the report, it would be entirely irresponsible of me to do that.
Rochelle Brown.
What a convenient thing. It's like, hey, Jason, I've got this real issue with you, and then you send out your mailman.
Yeah, totally.
Say, hey, can you address these wild allegations about me, please? I was not there in the day in question. So even, like, call me cynical, but even like the talking about the strippers, talking about the crime, to me that's still the small version of the story.
Yeah, totally.
Because what I'd say is, like, from the 15 billion that's been siphoned out, there's probably another 15 billion that's been siphoned straight back into government coffers.
Yeah, totally.
And then, like, how would you feel knowing that you're playing, like, the team... So, Labor's the largest political party in Australia right now, the strongest political party in Australia. But how would you feel if every taxpayer had to fund it? Which is not how... It's not in the ethos of the game. We're not supposed to pay our politicians for running their politics. Right?
So, well, here's the thing, though. Like, this explains a lot why, when people look around and go, okay, so Albanese got elected into office in 2022, promising a whole bunch of things, didn't deliver any of those things, divided the country with The Voice, wasting $450 million on that, which, again, is a fraction of what they're talking about here, you know, and everything that has come since then. Why is he still enjoying... You know, whether it's 30 to 35% of primary vote preference on all of these polls that keep coming through, the answer is because all of these CFMEU, giant Labor build sites and union members, they directly rely on this corruption money. They have bought the support of a large percentage of the population. And we covered on the show, when was the Victorian state government election was the year before.
I've just written this down. I literally just wrote it down.
Yeah.
Ian Andrews' CFMEU meeting.
Yeah, but we covered...
During COVID.
Yeah, so, but don't forget, there was, I think it was 2021 it might have been, just before the state election. Remember when Dan Andrews announced that they were going to get the Commonwealth Games, and they were going to build it in the regions? And we said it at the time, this was a blatant vote grab from the unions to regain their support that he was losing because, don't forget, he forced vaccinations on all of them. Don't forget those CFMEU riots in the street when John Setka, their leader, sold them out, when they had all said, we don't want to take this stuff, we're on a building site, we're scaffolders and we need to get vaccinated, we're not doing it. And then John Setka sold them out because of Dan Andrews, because he would have been pocketing this case.
Remember the meeting, so people had filmed the meeting, and they said, we know we don't like the guy, but he's got 10 jobs lined up for us. You're not voting for him, you're voting for your jobs.
Yep, because this was the billions of dollars of government funding carrot that he was using to keep their support. And it worked, because they voted him back in. And what happened just after the election? He cancelled the Commonwealth Games because they couldn't afford it. And then we ended up paying more money than it would have cost us to run the games just to cancel the games and send it to Scotland. So, look, Alex is right. Now, I will play devil's advocate with this reporting, because you're right. When it comes to like the salacious stories about the strippers and stuff like that, it's pretty irrelevant compared to the overall story of government essentially money laundering taxpayer dollars for their own political power and gain. But I would say that is the sort of storyline that is going to make women in the country actually pay attention to it. Sorry, ladies. The majority of you don't give a shit about government corruption in this, even if it's tens of billions of dollars. You actually don't care, but they do care about things like, you know, taking advantage of women and all that sort of stuff. So maybe it is actually a good way to report the story to at least get more women to buy into it, to care.
New topic. You just reminded me when you said women. I'm cleaning out. I'm moving out of my in my commercial shed.
Yep.
And I was going through some of my old stuff I found a box of things from when I was working for a big corporate dealer mob. And I found a booklet inside there that I had sort of written some notes and things in about the course. And the course was centered around how to manage women, essentially. Yeah. But something really interesting. So this was, I've got to get the month, but it was early 2018, I think the course was.
Yep.
And one of the things I'd written on like the second page was lean into your strengths. And then I wrote in brackets below it, bet on Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
Now, I just want to do...
What was the Bitcoin price in 2018?
Yeah, let's check right now. Let's check. Oh, we'll just have a quick look at the Fear and Greed Index. Oh, it's back up to 9. It was 4 this morning.
So that's peak fear.
Charts. I'll pull it up. So let's go... where is it? Realized price. Where is price? Bang. Bitcoin price live. So in 2018, why is it not loading? The hell?
It's strange. Probably too many people trying to log in to look at this chart right now.
Probably so many people selling. We should talk about, let's talk about Bitcoin for a little bit. So Bitcoin's been implicated in the Epstein files.
Yep. Well, there's been a lot of narratives coming out of the Epstein files negatively about Bitcoin.
Yeah, so, and I've had heaps of people come to me saying, oh yeah, me and my mates are selling because of the Epstein files.
Because Epstein started Bitcoin, Alex.
Yeah. So
it's pedo-coin.
I said, have you read it? And they're like, nah. And I was like, okay, you deserve to be poor. Because like, if you're not even willing to read literally the next line past the headline, then you don't deserve to own Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Now, what was implicated? So there is... It looks like in 2011, he had either met or was trying to meet with
He was trying to meet.
Yeah, trying to meet with the development team. And an old school Bitcoiner friend of mine was kind of explaining like, he could easily see a world where he's essentially a great dark money program that's being built where you can send lots and lots and lots of wealth. Dude, that thing is not working. So he easily sees a world where he may have even invested in the development team, but it was already released. It came out in 2009.
Yeah.
Then the other email that everyone seems to be drawing attention to, who was saying that Epstein is Satoshi Nakamoto, came out in 2016.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely moronic.
And even his emails from 2011 show that he has a very basic level understanding of Bitcoin. Essentially, Epstein was a control guy, and he liked controlling influential people. So It makes total sense to me that Epstein would try to find out who was controlling Bitcoin because he wanted to control them because they were going to be very important people.
Here you go. So $6,200 is how much Bitcoin was, and I got in 2017, maybe. Oh, that's US dollars. So I would have been, say, here, and then I wrote that note here.
Yep.
And then I think I should be able to... How do I reset that?
So for audio listeners, when the figures he's first looking at is, so way back then it was like $1,200 US. He wrote the note at about $2,500 US, and then it got up to, was it $124,000 US was the peak? The peak last year?
128. Depends on what market you looked at. 125,000. I just thought that was interesting. It was like, I was trying to find references to like when I'd spoken about Bitcoin, and none of my friends were even in it really then. But it had nothing to do with the course that we're doing. But I wrote in brackets at the bottom, bet on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I did. Like I said, it's probably funded me for the last 4 months or something. So
yeah.
I thought that was worth talking about.
Can I make another brief comment as a bit of a sidebar without notice? So I was listening to a podcast. It was Eric Weinstein, whichever the pronunciation is, on trigonometry. Did you listen to that podcast by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. There was a comment that was made. I can't even remember exactly what they were talking about before they got to it, but there was a comment that Eric made. Oh, it was AI. So Eric was very much being very doomsday about AI and nuclear warheads, essentially, and was talking about how humankind essentially needs to become interplanetary as soon as it possibly can, because humans are ridiculous and dumb and we are going to cause our own destruction. But he made a comment about Jews, which I thought was extremely interesting and super relevant to today's world, because he's a Jewish man. And one of the comments he said was that he finds it crazy that the wider world does not adopt the Jewish concept of survival at all costs. So this is one of these things where the Jews, I'm just going to call them the Jews, they get criticized for all the time, right? It's always about them. It's always about Israel. It's always like, you know, we talked about on the show with all of the, you know, Jewish exploding van hoax and stuff in Australia. It's all about, we want our own personal protections that no one else gets. We want these laws to protect us that no one else gets. It is all protect me above all else at all times. And to the West, that seems like a really foreign idea now, because the West is being programmed all day where it's all about empathy and taking care of everyone else at your expense at all times.
Yeah.
So, for example, net zero is that example, right? The net zero selling pitch is, if we don't do net zero today, then poor people in 100 years will die, because the world will be boiling and everything will be too hot, and it's the poor people who are going to be wiped out if that happens. So you need to pay higher energy bills, you need to have a lower standard of living because of these future poor people that might be put out in the future. So it's literally putting potential bad outcomes to people you don't even know above your own personal survival instinct. Gender ideology is the exact same thing. You need to teach your children that they can essentially chemically castrate themselves and never have children, because other people might get offended and upset if you don't do that. So it's literally putting other people's feelings above not only the health and safety of your own children, but the survival of your race and your family line. And because you castrate your kids, well, your family line's gone, right? And this is something that I see in every aspect of society now. And I can tell why it happens, because it's the easiest way to operate. Because it makes you look like you're a good person. So if you say, I care about everyone else over and above myself, then that means two things. Number one, you're virtue signaling that you're a good person. Number two, you never have to better your own life, which is difficult, because if you are seen to be, say, hustling, trying to make as much money as you can, hoarding resources, buying assets, you know, playing into the financial system. Like how much, remember during COVID, right? Right at the beginning of COVID, when we were saying, hey, this is going to be a massive wealth transfer from the poor middle class to the elites. And we were like, you shouldn't be doing these lockdowns because it's going to destroy the economy. And there was all these people saying, who cares about the economy? Everyone's going to die, right? Well, all of you are caring about the economy now, because all the inflation and the cost of living and the doubling in housing prices and all these things that everyone's complaining about now were a direct result of government policy during COVID that you guys all supported because you didn't care about the economy, because you pretended to care about other people. But now everyone is suffering because you guys pretended to care about other people instead of tapping into your basic human survival instinct, which is something that, to give them credit, the Jews just do. Like, you can complain until you're blue in the face that they are all about themselves and selfish and they want more than everyone else. But you probably need to actually tap into a little bit of that in your own life.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast last night and he said something on there, Jesse Lee Peterson, who I find hilarious. But he's also very he's a very good man, and he teaches a lot of people how to become better people. And one of the things that he said, and it's probably something that I've noticed more so as the older I get, and the more I read history books, and the more information I gather, and the more I see it in like the public sphere, is collectivism doesn't work.
Yeah.
So when you try to think about groups, and when you try to address groups, you actually can't do it.
No.
The groups are made up of individuals.
Yep.
And it's contingent on the individual to improve their standing the best way possible.
Yep.
And when I say to people get offended by it because they think I'm being selfish. And in a way, I guess I am. But if everyone looked at their own self-interest, I think there's this assumption that if you were to do that, it means undercutting your friend. But
because there's this zero-sum mentality that a lot of people have, that if you're going to be individually wealthy, that must be at the expense of someone else.
Yeah, but that's just not accurate. That's just not how it works. And it's not just financially, right? So, for example, why try to... Let's look at health.
Yep.
What's more effective, trying to get an entire cohort of people to look after their health, or to promote in everyone that it's your responsibility for your diet, your sleep, your exercise, right? And once you are in a position where, I got this I was at the shops yesterday, a little old lady couldn't carry her bags down because the elevator was out. I offered to help because I'm in a position where I can, physically capable to help. Yep. Well, there is a direct benefit of being fit and healthy, is you able to help. But if you're not able to help, if everyone is, if everyone's, sorry, the other problem with collectivism is that you assume the guy next to you is going to do it, not you, because you don't have to. That's why, like, whenever you're talking to collectivists, and collectivists is essentially socialists, right? Socialists want organizations to fix all these things.
Yeah.
They often don't take personal responsibility for themselves, and they're not doing the work themselves. They're like, this entity should fix this problem. There is a big issue. It's up to the entity to do it. It's like, look at all these like Palestine marches, right? They're not. There's nothing practical that they're doing to help what's over there. No. They want someone else to do it. They're just going to make.
They're trying to pressure the government to do something about it when they're not actually doing something about it themselves.
Where I give credit to like Greta Thunberg for like getting on a flotilla, like sail up over there and
getting that He-Man haircut going.
She's put her money where her mouth is and tried to do something for it. But collectivism is a massive problem, and more people need to be more selfish and put yourself into the best possible position. The one that I see most frequently is people still talking about doing university degrees.
Yeah.
And with everything that with the advancements in AI, I was at a table today. Went for coffee after the gym, and everyone Googled stuff. They were trying to find the answer for something. They all Googled it. I'm like, dude, it's 2026. Like, use AI.
Mm-hmm.
And Google didn't work. Well, these people are all in universities.
Yeah.
What are you learning? What are you learning? And
you're just learning groupthink.
Groupthink. It's a great way to put it. So,
can I give you two examples of this too? So, when I was a young man, when I was like 18, 19, one of my first real jobs when I left school was being a safety supervisor at a high ropes course called the Tambury Mountain Adventure Park. And for any of those who have been to any of these courses, massive high wires thing through the bush, in the trees, and you essentially had to connect yourself to the safety cables with two different carabiners. And we used to say it all the time, one by one, one by one, one by one. Because essentially, when you go from one obstacle to the next one, to move on to the next thing, you had to take one of your safety carabiners off, hook it onto the next safety cable. So once you're hooked safely with the first one, you would take the second one off and hook it to the next safety cable. And obviously, it takes more time when you do it properly than if you just took them off or didn't use them at all. But obviously, it's far more dangerous if you don't use safety carabiners.
Yep.
Now, part of my job was rescuing people who got stuck from the course or people who got scared, especially kids and stuff like that. And we were always taught, and went on to teach our supervisors after that, that there is no point in you putting yourself at risk So let's say that a kid's up there on the course and he's stuck and he's screaming and crying. The best way to handle that situation is to get there as quickly as you can, using the carabiners as they are intended. One by one, keep yourself safe. Because if you fall off that course, you're not going to be able to save that kid, and now you've created another problem that other people have to now deal with as well. Yeah. So it's literally that whole thing of when you're flying on the plane and it's going down and the oxygen masks come up, they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first before you then give it to your kids or someone else. You need to be in a safe, secure place yourself before you are able to help others. And oftentimes, particularly in an economical sense, you need to have money, wealth, and everything before you've got anything to offer other people in a poor economy like ours. So you do need to actually be, and again, it's not selfish. It's literally survival instinct. Like, there is a reason why the most attractive people in the world generally are wealthy and high-profile individuals. That's how we're programmed. We gravitate towards those people because we're like, hey, if they were able to get this level of wealth, they must be really competent at that thing that they do. Yeah. So let's get competence. Now, the second point I'll make on this is this. Socialism does not work. A lot of people who lean left would argue that the economic conditions that we are experiencing now are the end point of capitalism, right? They're the results of capitalism. But I'll tell you right now, we are not in a capitalist society. We are in a cronyist society. That's the problem. This isn't real capitalism. We always talk about the amount that our government interferes in the free market economy. That's cronyism. Cronyism is essentially when wealth is being created, it's rugged individualism on the way up. And then when it fails, cronyism says it's socialized on the way down. So you're privatizing the profits and you're socializing the cost at the end of it. That's cronyism, not capitalism. Because one of the key rights in capitalism is the right to fail. Yeah. None of these businesses that government ever bails out should be bailed out by government. They should be allowed to fail, and then we just move on and the next competitor comes in and does it better.
Just on that note, I think it's really funny that I had a thought that, I was a little bit frustrated that sometimes the governments will come in and bail these companies out and just give them money, essentially just give them money. Whereas, like, why wouldn't you take an equity stake in it? Like, why wouldn't you buy it, right? So buy the
We said that about Qantas. They gave them, was it $2 billion?
Yeah.
We should have just bought $2 billion worth of shares in Qantas.
But you know what would be so interesting is if they did it, is if you had a smart operator, okay, like, so let's say I was the person that was doing the Qantas deal.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you $2 billion. And I was like, well, for $2 billion, I want 30% of the company. Yep. Okay, we'll cut your check for $2 billion, and get 30%. Do you know what I wouldn't be able to help myself for noticing after?
What?
Is once you do that deal, and you cut that check, and you go look at their business, and then you realize, oh, there's all these hurdles that the government makes Qantas go through, which causes real blockages in the way that this business is run. Now that I have a vested interest in it, if I just got rid of those blockages, my stake in this is going to be worth so much more. And I almost wonder if that's why they don't do it, because it would become so obvious. Yeah.
It exposes how the bureaucracy is essentially destroying productivity.
Just a quick note, we're just moving on here, but this is interesting talking about property prices. Ireland, the country of Ireland, issued 14% of its 2006 GDP in mortgages that year. Okay? 14% of its GDP.
In what
2006.
year? 2006. Okay, so pre-GFC.
Australia has issued $385 billion in mortgages on a GDP of $2.5 trillion in the last 12 months, which is 15.4%. It's only just more, surpassing Ireland's peak. Okay? No big deal, except that Irish wages doubled in the preceding 10 years before the collapse, and Australia hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, things are going to get dicey out there, guys. Like, and I'm going to celebrate. Hey, my house settled at the start of this week, so I'm out of the property game at the moment.
Another quick note. Corruption. Talking about government corruption.
Oh, yeah.
So congratulations on your house.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, go.
Okay, I wrote this down. I'm just going to read it out. In January 2026, investigative journalist Cam Wilson revealed that the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the NACC,
So I love this story,
committed significant non-compliance with finance law regarding $30 million in office fit-outs. The incident, almost immediately after its launch on July 1st, 2003, the NACC signed contracts for fitting out offices in Canberra, Brisbane and Perth. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests showed that these multi-million-dollar expenditures were made without proper formal approval from a person with the necessary authority.
Can you just remind the listeners of what the name of this organisation is again?
The name is the National Anti-Corruption Commission. Key findings from the investigation. The approval failure. The agency failed to comply with the Public Governance Performance Accountability Act of 2013, which requires formal sign-off for large expenditures. Instead, a project director signed off on invoices exceeding their authorised delegation. Reporting discrepancies. Initial contracts published to AusTender only listed small consulting fees, example, $278,310 for Canberra, rather than the actual cost of $21 million. These errors were not corrected until August 24. Internal discovery. The error was identified by NACC staff while preparing their agency's 23-24 annual report. The official response. The NACC CEO, Philip Reid, formally reported the non-compliance to the Attorney General and Finance Minister in October 24. The agency maintained that the risk of fraud was low and that the money had been originally budgeted for the fit-outs, meaning there was no impact on its bottom line. The Australian National Audit Office conducted follow-up testing and found no further instances of similar non-compliance within the agency.
Yeah, so the agency that is in charge of corruption in this country was corrupt immediately after it began.
Hey, I've just wrapped my... So I had an office. I didn't even spend 270 grand on that thing in the entire time that I had it. This is a fit out. How could you spend $21 million fitting out an office?
Well, you spend $50,000 fitting it out, and you spend $21,950,000 on consulting fees.
Yeah, dude.
Well, and again, just to show that no side of politics is immune to this, you would have heard about the scandal of the Greens party room in Parliament House. So the Greens who pretend to care about all the poor people, who are like, oh, someone think of the poor people and the minorities, they spent $50,000 on a carpet, on a custom-made carpet. And that's just a fraction of, I think the end result was like $2 million they spent fitting out a party room for them to meet in Parliament House. So just to go and have a meeting, they thought a good expenditure of taxpayer money was like millions of dollars to make the room a little bit nicer. And they're the Greens. It's all of them, mate.
It's the entire system. So that's when I bang on about it's time for small government. They've just shown they don't deserve our money. We work for it.
Yeah.
We work for the money so they can go and spend it on a fucking office fit out.
And this is why I brought up that subject of your natural survival instinct.
Yeah.
Imagine you were a caveman and you came across some bananas, and instead of you keeping those bananas and sharing them with your family and your tribe to keep you safe, you agreed to give the majority of those bananas to the leader of the tribe, because the leader of the tribe said that he would redistribute that wealth equitably. And then you found out that the leader of the tribe took all of those bananas and mashed them all over himself to lube himself up for some sort of weird sex party, and gave everyone nothing, and then he demanded more bananas from you. You would kill that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Natural survival instinct. We have completely overridden it. This is survival. The economy is the new battleground. That's what people don't understand. The economy is what the government uses to enslave you. We said this during COVID. So one of the things that confused a bunch of people during COVID was that when the... Go away, please. Natural survival instinct's about to not kick in for that kid. So during COVID, remember when the lockdowns first started and they created stimulus packages and they started handing out all of this money? That was a plan, because what the ruling elite knew, because every other time in history when the government has handed out stimulus checks, all of that money has ended straight in the hands of the top end of town. And it was the perfect setup too, because they handed billions of dollars out, and they only allowed certain businesses to be open to receive that money, right?
Yep.
It was the perfect plan. But what confused them was that for the first time in history, Australians actually saved the majority of that money they got handed out.
Yeah,
they boosted savings accounts, they paid down debt and credit cards and mortgages, and all of a sudden, people started having financial freedom. And that scared them, because remember, when the reopening occurred, people who were doing bullshit jobs before, like cleaning toilets and stuff like that, decided, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore because I'm not living week to week like I was, because I made some good financial decisions with that money. And then what happened?
It broke before that. Though I think toilet cleaning is not a bullshit job. I think it is the shit job. It's a job that needs to be done. It absolutely needs to be done, because they got double the pay to stay at home and not do that job.
Yeah.
It's even worse than that.
Yep, and they saved that money, right? But what happened after that? All of a sudden, don't forget, 2021, ex-RBA chief Philip Lowe said, we don't foresee interest rates going back up until 2024. And then what happened? 12 straight months of interest rate rises. So
after a massive spike in property purchases.
Yep, because everyone went out and bought. You couldn't go overseas, you couldn't spend all this money elsewhere. The RBA came out and gave people a false promise that the interest rates weren't going to go up. They told all of you to go and pile into the property market. That's why the asset prices jacked up through the roof. And then next minute, the Reserve Bank jacked interest rates up by 3% on all of you. They rug pulled you. And the whole point of that was because the ruling elite knew, if you have financial freedom, we can't make you do things that you don't want to do. So they removed that money from you using the economy and the monetary system. This is the battleground.
Yeah, totally.
So this is where you need to have your basic survival instincts kicking in and going, hey, my financial health is literally my lifeline.
It's your lifeblood. It's your lifeblood.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, even just look at high income earners in this country. 6 months out of the year, you work for free.
Yeah.
And then the government goes and gives that money to their mates at the CFMEU so they can have sex parties with strippers they've hired down from the local rippers on $100,000 contracts to be cleaners, and then they're paying them cash to do dances at night times. And I'm sure they're not even doing the job in the first place. Make your basic survival instinct kick in. This is not good enough. We got to do things differently. And I think that you're seeing people realise this now, which is why One Nation is surging in the polls and will continue to do so.
Yeah. I think we leave it there.
Yeah. On that note, thanks very much for joining us, guys. We will see you all next week.